So today we're here with
Monte Wolke.
Monty. Who are your parents?
That would be Monte James Wolke and Teresa Wolke.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
I have an older sister, Lindsay, and I have a younger brother, Brett.
Tell me about them.
Well, my sister right now lives in Clarksville, Tennessee. She just got married. She is 25. And my little brother, Brett, is 13, exactly 10 years younger than me. And he's just trying to make it through junior high right now. And he's love for basketball, and that's all he does is outside shoot baskets all day.
So does sports play a key role in your family?
Sports is really big in our family, and it's not something that's really pressured on you, but they love it, and it's kind of expected.
So where did you attend high school, and what year did you graduate?
So I went to Cumberland High School, and I graduated in 2015.
What sports did you play in high school?
In high school, I did football, basketball, and track.
So talk about your high school sports career from your freshman to senior year, including your teammates and your coaches.
So my freshman year, I didn't play a whole lot, varsity across the board, aside from track, which, if you're good enough in track, then I pole vaulted on the track team. I was decent enough to place a decent amount of meets, but nothing big. Basketball, I was just, like 7th or 8th guy off the bench. I just played here and there. And football, if we were up a lot, I would come in for Kendall Butler, and that was about it for my freshman year.
So tell me about your football coach, your basketball coach, and your track coach. Tell me about them in high school.
Well, my football coach was coaches were Todd Butler and Kevin Maynard and Lucas Watkins. Todd Butler was our head coach my first 2 years in school, and then my last 2 was Kevin Maynard, and Watkins was always kind of around the offense. I will say Coach Maynard was kind of like a second father to me. He did look out for me, but he put a lot of pressure on me, especially my freshman year. He would absolutely chew me out if I did not bring footballs to the next drill. And I had to learn that real quick. He just chewed me out in front of everybody. I was just this little freshman running around. Coach Butler was more of like the quieter and wiser type, and he was just how big he is would just kind of scare you. So you always were kind of on your toes around him. And Watkins was more of a little bit more of a pal, and at that point in time before he became head coach, he was a little bit more of a pal and a little bit nicer to everybody, and kind of wouldn't give you as hard of a time. But love my football coaches though; they're great, and I can't say enough praise for them.
So I wanted to ask you this question real quick. Those 3 sports, which one was your favorite in high school?
Well, that's hard to tell because I did enjoy my team sports. I would have football, then I'd go into basketball, but then I really enjoyed track whenever I just had to worry about my own events, worry about myself. It was just kind of nice to not have to be, kind of worried, being a team captain. But the other 2 sports, I could just kind of focus on myself. But, there's nothing like the, camaraderie and brotherhood of football. So definitely football.
What were some of your favorite facilities to play in high school?
So for football, my favorite was senior year. We went to play Villa Grove. They were state ranked at the time. And I had just torn my meniscus earlier in the week, and I was hobbling around. I get enough adrenaline to play on Friday, and we go in there, and it's really a hostile place. Everybody's just chewing us out, and we're walking on the football field, just talking trash while we're warming up and stuff. And the rest of our guys, they liked it, and they're all pumped up about it. And we come out at halftime, we're winning, and they just do the weirdest stuff, walk up to us while we're walking off the field. And it's just odd, and man, it was a real quiet place when we left with a win there that night. For basketball, it was always about a brawl every time we went there, but Oblong was always kind of fun and kept us on our toes. The crowd was so nuts, and everything was just a lot of craziness going on there. And of course, I always loved vaulting at Charleston for outdoor state track, and I had my best jumps there and my best days of competition there.
Tell me about the memories you had in high school. Tell me about this jersey that you had. You were telling me about before the interview.
So the jerseys we got my senior year, we got brand new jerseys, and I had been the starting quarterback for 2 years up until my senior year, and I always wore the number 4. And we go in there.
You have the jersey right here.
I got
show the camera everything.
So I got them right here. It's kind of faint on the back, but you can see next to the 4, there should be a 6 with it. It should be number 64. You can tell a little bit more on the side patch there.
Yep, right there.
Yeah. They did not order a number 4 jersey for me. And my coach comes in. He said, "Hey, man, I got to talk to you." I said, "What's going on?" I said, "There was no number 4 jerseys in there." He said, "Is there any other number you want?" I said, "Well, I've worn number 4 since I was a little kid in football." He said, "Okay, I'll figure it out then." I said, "All right, thanks." So he hands me a jersey a couple days later. Said, "Here, don't tell no one." He had taken the 6 patches off and then re-sewn the number 4s on over in between the 6 and the 4 to make it work for me. So.
That's a cool story.
It's a little interesting. It's funny.
Describe any awards you received in high school.
Top of my head, a couple of awards that I got. So I set a couple of records in football and track. I got a couple of little plaques for that. I was athlete of the year my senior year. I got a couple all-conference awards for football. I was all-conference and as a quarterback, a punter. And I was, I think, honorable mention as a safety. I was all conference for basketball, and then I got 4th in state my senior year in track, and 3rd indoor, and then I also got 7th indoor my junior year and 5th outdoor my junior year. But probably my favorite awards was winning those medals in track, junior and senior year. I was, felt very fulfilling. So I put a lot of work into that, and it just all comes together right at the end of the season. You're finishing school. It's just really nice to have that on your way out from school each year.
So after high school, where did you attend college, and who recruited you?
So I got recruited as a quarterback by Mckendree, and my recruiter was Colton Myers, coach at Mckendree. Him alongside the head coach, Coach Babcock, they recruited me as a quarterback. And after talking with them a little bit, I just kind of decided I wanted to go in a different direction and just stay with punting. A little bit of an odd decision, but I had a couple bad injuries in high school, and I was tired of hobbling after each season, so I decided to punt, and it was a very good decision. I had a lot of fun and had a lot of success with it, and so I'm very happy with that decision. Talk
about your career, including your teammates and coaches at Mckendree.
So my career really didn't get started for football until my sophomore year. I did start after the first game my sophomore year, and my first game I punted a school record 78-yard punt, and I started every game up to senior year after that. We had a really good defense that year, and each year we played, we were just short of winning the conference and just short of making it to the playoffs for football. A couple of my favorite teammates I had, my freshman year, I looked up to Isaac Fisher a lot. He was kind of a do-it-all quarterback. He was a senior. He was a really humble guy, and ended up setting a lot of the passing records and some rushing records there, all-purpose yards. I also played with one of my good friends in college was Matt Cole. Just got picked up by the Miami Dolphins. Just got picked up by Miami Dolphins.
That's a big deal.
It is. I'm very excited for him, very proud of him. He's a hard worker. I think he's going to do great. Look for him, Matt Cole.
Was there a certain number he got picked in, or a certain draft pick?
He slid through the draft, but he was prospect X, so ESPN did a little number on him, and he ended up sliding through the cracks, but the Dolphins picked him up real quick right after the end of the draft, and he was my gunner on our punt team, and he was a big part of our success on our punt team.
So now I'm sure you'll go to a few Dolphins games.
I don't have a team right now after the Rams broke my heart, but I think I'm going to be a Dolphins fan now.
Yeah, they go out to LA. I'm sure you don't want to travel out there every day.
No, can't do it.
Talk about a few teams that you played against in college.
So a couple teams I always remember. One is UIndy, University of Indianapolis.
Tyson. Okay.
Yeah, that's where one of my past teammates, Tyson McGee, plays, and they're always at the top of the conference. So when it's UIndy week, you got your work cut out for you. I always remember them, and then I always remember playing Quincy University because they're the only other Division II football team in Illinois. So we always called it our state championship game. So we won every year, so we did win every year. But they would always come with extra juice that game because the state championship game they called it.
What about players wise that you played against?
So I remember playing against a couple people that I know are in the NFL. I can't remember names. There was a tight end for Drake. that was just ate us up. We went and played Drake University my sophomore year. There was Reese Horn from UIndy that we played against. He was really good receiver. He was one of the best receivers we had in the conference up to that date.
So name some of your favorite facilities in which you played in college.
So UND was always a packed crowd. I think that was the biggest crowd I played in front of. I think they hit about 10 to 13,000 people average on their home games. And then we went up to Hillsdale and played one time when they were pretty good. They were either ranked in the country or they were just a couple of votes out.
Where's Hillsdale at?
That was up in Michigan.
Okay.
That was up in Michigan. We went in there. We played a great game against them and beat them at the end. Those are some of the two more memorable places I remember playing at.
Any stories you like to add during your college career?
So two of my favorite stories, my college career, I got one for track, one for football. The one for football was my first game I started in my sophomore year, and it was probably about 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I was punting, and I was a little nervous because it was my first game starting. I had to punt into the wind all game long, and I finally get a chance to punt with the wind, and we were on like our 28-yard line or so, and one of the guys jumps off sides when I go out there to punt, so we had to back up 5 yards. So then I punt this ball, and I punt a line drive, goes over the receiver, over the returner's head, and just rolls and rolls and rolls, ends up going over the track, over to the gate, almost to the road. That's how far this thing went. And it ended up being a record. And if the guy that did not jump off sides, it would not have been a record because I needed those extra 5 yards to be backed up. So I had to thank Mr. Carter Vance on Monday morning meetings for jumping off sides so I could get that record.
Oh, my gosh.
That was a pretty funny story. And then my favorite story I have to tell in track is winning conference my sophomore year. We came in as like 70-point underdogs in track, and we were way down. And coach is saying, yeah, I mean it could happen, but like we have to have this go right, we have to go this right. He seemed like a mad scientist up on the board, pointing out all these different things that have to go right. Sure enough, we go there. He said, it all starts with you with winning that pole vault on that first day. I ended up winning the pole vault, and that was my first GLVC medal. And then, the rest of our team just, all the pieces just aligned. Like it was meant to be, and it was nuts. It was great. It was our first conference championship as a school for track, and that was a pretty big moment for all of us.
So tell me about who you look up to professionally as a punter.
So I have two people in mind. Three maybe. One of them is Steve Weatherford because he's kind of a jack punter, and I like that about him. I take it he probably doesn't get pushed around by his teammates at all. If you know who Steve Weatherford is, he's an incredible athlete.
He plays for the New York Giants.
He used to play for the New York Giants. Got a couple Super Bowl rings. One of my favorites is Pat McAfee, of course. You gotta love Pat McAfee. You can take your job seriously, but you still laugh at the fact that you're a specialist and you're a punter. Specialists are people too. And then Marquette King that used to play for the Raiders that was playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks before the league shut down. But he was a guy who just had a huge leg and super athletic. He would run for a lot of first downs, and I always thought a lot of him. So those are my three guys I looked up to the most.
What about awards in college?
So awards in college, wouldn't say I have a whole lot of awards, but I do have a decent amount of records I set. I have 7 records for football, which include the punt average for a season, career average, most 50-yard punts, most punts in a game, most punts in a season, most punt yardage in a game, and most punt yardage in a season, and longest punt. I also led the GLVC in net punt, which is a little bit of a team statistic, but also an individual one as well. I led that for 2 years, and my senior year we were top 10 in the nation in net punt, and I also led the GLVC in punt average my senior year. And then for track, I'm the current record holder for the outdoor pole vault record at 16.1 and the indoor pole vault record at 15.9 3/4.
Good Lord, Monty. You got a fair share of records, huh?
A little bit.
So after college, what did you decide you wanted to do?
So my family owns a nursery, Wolke Nursery. That's where I've always worked since I was 10. I'd work full time in the summer. I knew I wanted to do something with that. After I got out of school, my family saw a need for landscaping around. We started to get a lot of calls at the nursery, and my first job actually was my college football coach's house. He said, "Hey, you want to landscape my house?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll take a crack at it." And so me and my cousin Michael Wolke landscaped his house, and then everything just kind of took off from there, and we just went with it. So we are now the owners of Wolke Nursery Landscaping, and we've grown a lot the last year and a half since we've started, and we're just keeping it rolling.
How long have you been the owners of it?
We have been the owners since May of 2019.
What do you enjoy so much about that?
What I love about it the most is it's my own thing, and it's all about us. How hard we want to work at it is, it'll determine our success by how hard we want to work at it. And I know it's going to work out for us because I know we'll put in the hours and we'll do things right. And I just love being able to run my own thing.
Talk about Tyson McGee a little bit.
So Tyson was he was a freshman when I was a senior, but he was such a good athlete, such a good natural athlete that he was able to play on our varsity teams. He was my receiver in football, and he didn't get to play a whole lot of snaps, but he had a way of getting open. I could find him even whenever I scrambled out. He had a good way of getting open. He never dropped the ball.
Rarely.
He could go up and get the ball. I really wish I had him whenever he's older. And then in basketball, I just remember he could finish around the rim like none other. Like he would get contact. He would just go in, and he'd just be able to get it in. I don't know how he could. He would never miss a layup. Never miss a
dunk either.
He wasn't dunking. He wasn't dunking as a freshman.
No.
He wanted to.
He was a junior and senior year. He was really, he was going overpowering.
He could fly.
Are you still in touch with some of your high school and college former teammates and the players that you played with?
Yeah, I still go. I go back to homecoming game for football at Mckendree every year, and I enjoy that. A lot of great school spirit, and get to see a lot of the guys I played with, and get to hang out, watch the new guys play, and cheer them on, and just there's a lot of fun there. I was planning on going back and vaulting at our home meet for track this year before the COVID thing it took over. But I still hang out with a couple of my track teammates here and there, and talk to them religiously on Snapchat, phone, and stuff. And high school, I still see some of my childhood friends around, and stay in touch with them as much as possible. I don't have enough time to talk with a lot of my friends nowadays, especially during busy season with landscaping. But I don't forget about them. I always remember all the great times we had, and the great times we shared out on the field or the court or on the track.
At what age did you become interested in playing sports?
So I don't know the exact age, but I know ever since I could walk, I always had the ball in my hand, shooting baskets or something down in my parents' basement.
Which is where we're at now.
Yeah, which is where we're at right now. Had a little Tyson basketball hoop, and I love that thing. It's my favorite toy.
Since you played the sports, of all the sports you played, how has the game changed?
So the game's changed the most, I think, in basketball. I remember as a kid, I remember watching the game, people never seemed to flop or anything like that. I remember a big rule change happened at the most inconvenient time for me. I was a sophomore, and I was smaller my sophomore year. You could put the forearm on the ball handler and kind of guide them where you want to go. And then when I was a junior, when I was bigger, stronger, you could not put the forearm on the ball handler anymore. And so I just really bad timing on that. Football wise, it just turned into more of a passing type of offense and stuff, and which was just fine for me. I adapted well to any type of strategy on football. Passing, running, I loved it all.
What advice would you give to today's younger kids about playing sports?
So a big advice I would give to them would be to focus more about your team and winning instead of what you can go out and do yourself. Think more of what can I do for the team instead of how can I make myself look good. If you think like that and you train and compete like that, you will be successful and it'll come to you. So yeah, my favorite role model would have to be my dad. He was the one that was always kind of the guy there, talking about sports, asking about sports, taking me to camps, always finding the next thing for me to do. He always had his foot on the gas pedal with that, which is kind of how I try to live my life, because I know that's the way to be successful, is if you just constantly just work at it. If you put in the time, you'll be successful. And he's a really hard worker, and I could just tell by the way he carries himself and the way he thinks and goes about his business. He's a great role model for me.
What has sports done to change your life, Monty?
So the biggest thing sports have changed my life in is showing me that it's normal that you will get knocked down, you will lose, and you will get embarrassed at times, but you always have that opportunity and that chance to get right back up on it and go back and redeem yourself and push, strive to be better. And I know that if you are too scared to make those mistakes, then you will not get better in life. And that's something that sports has really taught me over the years, is getting over my fears of just about anything in life. And don't be afraid to try.
So you were telling me that sophomore year in high school and senior year in high school was kind of like, wow, we were good sophomore year, and then senior year just kind of like we just barely missed it. Tell me about that.
So sophomore year, we in football we went 6-3, just good enough to get a spot in the playoffs. We had a very, very good defense and very good offensive line and a couple of good running backs, and I was just good enough as a sophomore to make everything move well. And we ended up we got knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. We ended up playing a very bad matchup team. They had a lot of speed. We just had a lot of size, and it just didn't mesh well. And I just wanted to get back to state so bad. And senior year, we just barely missed it by one place, vote, whatever you call it. I think top 32 make it, and we were 33. And our last game, I remember we lost by 2 points. We lost on an extra point. We drove down length of the field with about a couple minutes left, scored the touchdown. If we had the 2-point conversion, we would tie it, go to overtime, get a chance to win, get a playoff spot, and we just couldn't punch it in for 2, and ended up losing our playoff spot over that. So that's how my senior career ended with that.
So, Monty, is there anything else you'd like to share that we didn't mention that you now thought of? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, first I want to talk about, I appreciate the interview, being able to talk about my career and a little bit about my life. Give a shout out to Rep King Media. Check him out on YouTube, Facebook, wherever he's got going on. He's got some good content. A big shout out to all my coaches throughout the years. I know there's a lot of them, too many of them to list. All have played a big part of my life and my success, and I love you all, and all my past teammates. Y'all hold a near and dear spot in my heart, and I'll never forget about you and times we shared and times we spent. And I just love sports, and that's about all I got, man.
Monty, thank you for your time, and I really enjoyed hearing your story.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So we're going to wrap up with this question because Monty forgot to say something. I'm glad he said this, though. Tell me about this gruesome injury that you had back in high school.
So it was my junior year, and it was our homecoming game. Midway through the season, hadn't won a whole lot of games, but I really wanted to win homecoming. Everybody wants to win homecoming game. It was about early in the third quarter, or mid to late third quarter. I get tackled. I was running the ball around to the left, and I get rolled up by a real big guy. We're playing Red Hill. I get tackled like this, and I just kind of get crunched down, and my collarbones get popped out of place, and they end up getting popped back into my body. They call it a sternoclavicular dislocation posterior. That means I got pushed back, and they were pressing on like my esophagus and my lungs. So anyway, I got rolled up like that, and I yell at the bottom of this pile. It hurt really bad, and I get up. The coach calls a timeout, and I felt a pop. I think I popped him back into place, and he asked me if I was good to go. I said, yeah, let's go. So I stayed in the game. I ended up having probably my best game of high school career. Had over 200 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, and I threw for a touchdown later that game. Very, very painful. Very painful. But we ended up winning, and we get to the locker room after the game, and everybody's pumped, everybody's hyped. Say, oh yeah, we won, that's great, blah blah blah. And I go to take off my shoulder pads like this, and I just hear a huge loud pop, and then immediate pain, and it was awful. And everybody thought I was just kind of joking. And I'm like, no, I'm in pain. I can't deal with this. So we go to the emergency room, and they didn't know what to give me, so they just gave me some morphine. I ended up going to Benuti Clinic on Monday. They gave me some MRIs and stuff, and they didn't really know until 2 days later. After really looking at it, they're like, oh my gosh, his collarbones are popped back into place, and they're pressing on his vital organs and stuff. So they called me up real quick and said, don't go nowhere, don't go in the car, because your seatbelt, if you stop really hard on a seatbelt, I can push on it really hard, you could die. So I had to stay away from people. Anyways, go to the hospital in Cardinal Glen in St. Louis, and of all collarbone dislocations, only like 5% happen where they get pushed back inside the posterior. Most of them get popped out. So I had a super rare injury, and the doctor who did my surgery had never done one before. That's how rare it was. There's only like a couple cases every year in the United States. And they said I do have a very, very, very small chance of me not making it after the surgery, during the surgery, because it's very dangerous. They're going to have to cut me open. But I've lucked out whenever I got on the operating table. They were able to pop them back into place, and then I had to wear like a splint, and I was able to keep them in place. The doctor said I was most likely not going to be able to vault that upcoming season. But I ended up recovering. I was able to play half my basketball year that year, and then track rolled around, and I was feeling good, so she gave me the okay to vault, and I ended up PRing by 2 feet, made it state for the first time, and ended up placing 5th that year in outdoor.
So you almost died.
Technically, yes. Technically, yes.
Oh my gosh, that's a crazy story, dude.
Technically, yes. It was interesting.
I'm glad that you mentioned that now, because like that's crazy stuff, man. only one and so many people get that injury.
Yeah, lucky me. Yeah, I have always had the weird stuff happen to me.
Thank you for telling me that story, Monty.
Yes, sir.